Less than 18, multiply, divide, rational expressions. I was trying to decide whether, rational, I wasn't even going to write all that out, but it'll be okay. I was going to abbreviate it. Whether to put quizzes together, but 18m cubed, that light reflects right off of it, over 30m to the 5th times 12m squared over 8. When you reduce fractions, it just has to be a numerator and denominator. You can divide by a form of 1. Like, I mean, I could do 18 and 8, but they're only divisible by 2. But I'm going to do the 18 and 30 because what will go into both of them? 6. I don't know whatever became of that, why that ever became that you had to do these two and these two. That's not true. It just has to be a top and a bottom divided by a form of 1. So let's divide by 6 over 6. And then when I've done that, now I can't, this numerator, denominator, but I can go this way. 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. And nothing else reduces. I've got 3 times 3 over 5 times 2, 9/10. Both of them are, I mean, the GCF is 1. On top, I have 5 m's from lesson 12, 13, somewhere in there, our laws of exponents. And I have 5 on the bottom. So when I reduce it, I just end up with 9/10. So let's do one more multiplication. And I will make sure I copy this down correctly this time. 10c squared minus 10c, 10c. I copied it down as just c last block. And c minus 1 is the denominator. And we're going to multiply by c squared. It's kind of weird. I never use c's. I don't know why I came up with those. Plus 20 over 6c squared plus 60c. The easiest one on top. Now, when you do these in your classwork, you don't have to copy this down. You can go straight to this step if you want to, but obviously you need that step here. And sometimes, if I'm doing them on paper, I might just factor this above it and this below it, but I thought I'd go ahead and organize it so you'd have a good example in your notes. The bottom one right here is actually the easiest one to factor because the GCF is 1, and so I'm just going to go ahead and write it 1 times c minus 1. Now, I would encourage you to do that, even though it's still the same. Just writing it like that makes it a little bit easier to recognize common factors. What about the top? When you have a binomial, look first for GCF. Always look for GCFs first, and then look for difference of 2 squares. Well, they're not perfect squares. 10 is not a perfect square, and so it's usually going to be one of those two. And does it have a GCF other than 1? What is it? 10. Just 10? What about a C? And on top, you're left a C minus 1. Don't forget, when you check backwards, some people want to put a 0 there, but 10C times 0 is not 10C. So if you have a binomial, there's always going to be something left in every one of them. And let's see, what do I need to do over here? Okay, now we're going to factor this one. I give a lot of coefficients of 1 because I want you to be able to do that quickly. That's the best way is in a problem, make you factor. So C and C, if the signs are positive, we know they're both positive. I hope you know that. And I need factors of 20 that will give me a 12. Can you do that? It's going to be, it's either going to be 120, 210, 4, 5, and it's going to be 10 and 2. And then the bottom, binomial, GCF, yes. How much? 6C, and you have C plus 10. Looking at numerators, denominators, I'm going to get rid of that C minus 1. I'm going to get rid of that C plus 10. Now, do you see anything else? See, and this is the part you have to be careful on. Look, there's a C and there's a C. So this is a case where I did go ahead and mark my variable out. See, I can mark the C's out. Now, what about 10 and 6? Won't they reduce? Yeah, 2 goes 5 times and 2 goes 3 times. Now, when you clean all that up, I believe you're left a 5 and a C plus 2 on top. And if I get everything, and that's a hard part too, is getting everything that's left over. Or, and I put an or, because if you clear the parentheses out, make sure you do them correctly. So I have 5C plus 10. I'm fine with this as your answer. GCF does, ACT does it both ways. You'll see some where they leave and some they don't. Okay, I accept either answer. Just be careful. Okay, that's enough of multiplication. Now let's do, I'll just put multiply up here, and we're just going to do one division down here, because I think once you got it, you got it. Now, how have we always said, well, let's write the problem first, number 3. Let's do n minus 6 over n squared minus 7n plus 6 divided by 2n cubed minus 12n squared over n squared minus 5n minus 6. How did we learn how to divide fractions? The shortcut, we called it in middle school, late elementary. Did we call it KFC? Yeah, some people call it KCF. I think that's what Jenna Gromeyer said she did. We just like that one because it's easy to remember. You keep the first one, you take the reciprocal, flip the second one, and you change it to multiplication. You can only cancel if it's multiplication. So I'm going to do two things at once. I'm going to factor it and make it multiplication. So I'm going to skip a couple of lines just to have plenty of room. Let's see if I put my bar here. And go ahead and make multiplication. When I do that, sometimes I forget to flip it over, so I have to be careful. N minus 6 has a GCF of 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And do that if it helps you. The bottom is a factorable trinomial, n and n. We know both signs have to be negative because they have to multiply to be 6 and add to be negative 7. And what are the numbers going to be? 1 and 6. Got to be 1 and 6. Well, could be 2 and 3 if we had it. And it doesn't matter which way, does it? Because it's going to give you the same thing. This one's going to come to the top. So let's do it first. We've got n squared minus 5n minus 6. And then I made some comments last block, second block, about factoring. It ends up being, because it was negative here, it had to be 1 plus, 1 minus. And to get us negative 5 in the middle, the 6 had to be negative and the 1 had to be positive. This thing, start with a GCF, see if it's got anything else. And most of the time, even in these, I don't make them 2 steps. You don't have to take a GCF out and then do something else to it. What is the GCF? Say it again. 2n squared. And you'll have an n left and a 6 left. Okay, what's going to cancel? Okay, and you've actually got a set of 2. Like you have to, if you had 2 up here and 1 down here, you could only get rid of one of them. But I can get rid of this one with either that one or that one. Doesn't matter. I can get rid of that one. Anything else? Is that it? Okay, I'm left with an n plus 1 on top. I'm left with a 2n squared and an n minus 1 on the bottom. You can leave it like that or you can distribute.